What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to Moment of Clarity. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here as we talk about the water wars coming to the United States internally. I don't mean stealing it from other countries. We do that too, but I'm talking the internal water wars. We're going to get into that. We're also going to get into the continued admission by, it seems, everybody in power, every fucking media figure saying this is a proxy war in the Ukraine between the US and Russia. Exactly what I and many others said from day one. It just keeps getting admitted by more and more of these ruling sacks of shite. And so I'm going to show a great video of that, of all these tools admitting it. But I want to start with the water wars. Thanks for following. Please click subscribe. Please click thumbs up. Please click other things you can find to click. If there's anything around to click, just click it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for participating and for leaving comments and the like. But yeah, I want to start off. I'm going to get to a few stories, but I want to start off by talking about this New Yorker piece saying the water wars are here. They're in suburbia. They're in suburban United States already. Come to the suburbs. And of course, this is far scarier than coming anywhere else, right? Because these are the suburbs. These are where the people with money go to not have the problems. And instead, here they are facing fucking water shortages. So the New Yorker begins. A community near Scottsdale, Arizona is running out of water. Amid the finger pointing, the real question is how many developments will be next? And, you know, there's got to be a bit of you when you hear Arizona. You go, well, why did you fucking think would happen? You moved out. You built a house in a desert. You built a house where nothing should live except like certain kinds of millipedes, occasional cockroach, and like one of those weird birds that hibernates for like 9 months a year, some shit. Like, you did that. You went out there and you're like, this looks good. So there's a bit of me that doesn't feel bad for these folks, but still. But it says as the Southwest enters its second decade of mega drought, the Colorado River sinks to alarmingly low levels. Rio Verde, a largely upscaled community that real estate agents bill as North Scottsdale, even though it's 33 miles from Scottsdale, which you gotta love that. It's so fucking classic real estate agents. Just like, it's North New York City. Yeah, it's North New York City. Where is it? It's Boston. It's in Boston. It's North New York City. It's a bit south of Los Angeles. It's South Los Angeles. You're gonna love it. The prices are great. It got great schools. South Los Angeles. South Los Angeles. Oh, how far south? It's in Mexico. It's down south of Los Angeles in Mexico. Real estate agents are always fucking messing with names and shit. Sometimes they'll abbreviate. Like when I lived in New York, everything was Dumbo or Rumbo or Soho or Fee Fi Fo Fum or what. Like they always had some kind of clever little letter abbreviations that they were using. It's just FIFO. Yeah, I live in FIFO. It's chic. It's FIFO. What's that stand for? Fiery and fucked. We call it FIFO because there's a lot of fires there, and also you're just kind of fucked. But yeah, FIFO. They always had some dumb name because that's what real estate agents do. Real estate agents. It's just another version of used car salesman. It's just selling you garbage. My friend John F. O'Donnell used to do that stuff. He used to be a real estate person and as a job, and he said he had a stand-up bit about how they sell you exposed brick. They somehow got people to be excited about exposed brick. Look at this. And, his line was like, this shit you walk by all day long on the outside of buildings, we put it on the inside of the building. Oh, my God. I got to pay more for that. I got to pay more because the brick exposed itself. How exposed do you want your brick? Oh, very exposed. As exposed as possible. All right? We're talking full frontal brick. Full frontal brickage. I'm willing to pay $4 or $5 grand a month if you give me full frontal brick. All right. North Scottsdale, which is 33 miles from Scottsdale, is finding itself on the... And my other question is, what the fuck is in the between the two? Is it like there's so many just wide open deserts that 33 miles from Scottsdale is still Scottsdale? Or are there like other towns in between and they're still calling this North Scottsdale? Anyway, it's finding itself on the front lines of the water wars. Some homeowners' wells are drying up, while others who get water delivered have recently been told that their source will be cut off on January 1st. It's going to turn into the Hunger Games, one of the residents said. The Southwest's water issues are at a point of crisis. What has been a slow motion train wreck for 20 years is accelerating, and the moment of reckoning is near. And by the way, in a few minutes, I'm going to get to the fact that actually we have all the answers. We can solve all these problems, but we won't, and we're not. But yeah, it's important to keep talking about the solutions because, I know it's crazy, but they're fucking out there. The solutions are sitting in front of us. Arizona is one of the 7 states that, along with parts of Mexico, draw water from the Colorado River, which accounts for about a third of the state's supply. States that rely on that supply have had to contend with shortages, and experts predict the situation is only going to get worse. Yeah, you really got to turn to the experts to learn that climate change is getting worse. Really got to, I got to call up some real top-notch NASA motherfuckers to find out climate change is getting worse. But so the water's drying up. And these people are struggling. Let's see. Scottsdale might make... So they talk about that some people have their water shipped in. Like literally there are like water shipping companies that pull up in front of your home with fucking truckloads of water. And so some people do that. Some people have wells, but of course wells get ruined by all the fucking pesticides and shit, which we should also regulate, but the companies own our Congress, so Monsanto could just be like, yeah, well, that's not cancerous. No, it's good for you. Yeah, the burning means it's working. The burning means your water's working. If your water tastes spicy, that means it's working. That's what Monsanto says, and then our Congress is like, sounds right to me, because they're paying my bills. Scottsdale might make the decision to cut off supply to the Rio Verde foothills, which is another area of housing. If that happened, the water haulers, these companies that supply water, could look for other sources, but trucking water in from farther away would cost significantly more. And what if other communities also stopped wanting to sell their scarce water to outsiders? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So you build your house in a place that doesn't have water. You then steal another area's water, even if they have agreed to it and they agree to sell it to you. It's kind of stealing because nobody owns the water. The water should be a resource for all. It should not be one person says, "Oh yeah, you can take our water," and gets paid for it. So we're all kind of stealing it. In many cases, there's like someone upriver agrees to sign something saying, yeah, you pay me $10,000 a month. You can take all the water you want. And then the people downriver go, that's not your right to sell my water. And he goes, fucking stop me. So that shit goes on as well. But it keeps getting, this is only going to get worse, right? The droughts are getting worse. This is how climate change works. Which it amazes me there's still fucking idiots across this world that act like it's not happening or act like it's not a big deal or act like we don't need to worry about it. Oh yeah, well, tell me that when you're drinking sand. Tell me that when your number one source of hydration is Monster energy drinks at the fucking 7-Eleven because you can't find it. When you're watering your plants, what was it, an idiocracy? They're watering the plants with whatever the fucking Gatorade equivalent is. Tell me, when you're watering your plant with fucking 5-hour energy, when your lawn, tell me how you don't need water, or climate change isn't happening. Homeowners who didn't have wells were suddenly uncertain that they'd be able to wash their dishes or flush their toilets. Some water haulers reassured their customers that they could find water for them, at least for now. Hornewer, who runs a water hauling company, told me that not all haulers were scrupulous about the legality of their sources. You don't say, in this capitalist system, that a guy whose job is to just show up with truckloads of water, some of them might not be getting it from really great sources. Some of them might be doing it behind people's backs. Some of them might be stealing from the indigenous, right? That's a national pastime. That's right up there with baseball, stealing from the indigenous. Dude, America's pastime. They should have it sponsored. They should have it on TV, prime time. They could have the fucking F-35 jets fly over and you could just watch stealing shit from the indigenous like we watch baseball games. America's pastime. Just shows guys with big trucks running in, fucking jacking the water supply. You have cheerleaders. You have cheerleaders standing there with the guy at the truck. Anyway, here's a quote from Hornewer. To them, it's just kind of like the Old West out here. If the water's there, grab it. If you want to get it from Phoenix illegally, sure, you can do that. But that's a short-term fix. And it's also fucking shitty and illegal. But, so let me get to how the answers are in front of us. And of course, this article doesn't cover this. And I don't know, some of you were mentioning pretty cool documentaries out there about water wars, upcoming water wars. And of course, a lot of that is between nations, but this is talking internally. This is talking your fucking development, your suburban area is going to war with some other suburb. You know, the Twin Peaks is going to war with Pine Oaks or whatever the fuck in order to fight over the water. That's what this is talking. This isn't even getting into like, us invading Canada to steal their water or whatever. This is just straight up one region after another. All these stupid, fucking development names. The Cromwell has gone to war with the Fitzgerald development over their water supplies. It's just guys in penny loafers beating up 70-year-old women with blue hair. But anyway, I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to keep covering. Climate change is going to keep getting worse, so this is not going to be a topic that goes away very easily. The answers to water scarcity are here in our world. It's talked about so little. And it's amazing. Even articles like this don't mention it. Some of these documentaries that talk about upcoming water wars don't mention that there's answers to our water problems. But there are. A lot of it is engineering. One of the main groups or documentaries that have talked about this is the Zeitgeist movement has talked about it. But a lot of this can come down to engineering. We could have systems that did things like took the water from your shower and pumped it into your toilet. So now you're shitting in your shower water. And please point out someone who would have a problem with that. If there's someone who's like, my toilet water is not clean enough, I can't drink out of my fucking toilet anymore, then they have issues. They have issues that go very deep, deeper than some of these wells. So, that is one tiny engineering solution. Fucking shower water, bath water being the same water that ends up in your toilet. Okay, there's one. But there's a million of these that could be done. Ways to decrease water that is lost, water that flows out to sea. One of the biggest ones, of course, is to look at fucking animal agriculture. The amount of meat we eat is insane. And so I don't eat meat, but I'm not one of those that runs around and says, fucking cows are people too. I mean, I don't think we should do factory farming, which is incredibly disgusting and abusive and all this shit. And I talk about that some, but I don't think you're going to get very far just running around telling people like, but look at this cow. He's friendly and that's not nice. But how about the fact that if we decrease the amount of meat we eat by, just a percentage, just 20%, 30%, something. If we didn't have bacon sprinkled on everything that's not even a meat dish, it's like, potato salad with bacon bits is chocolate that flavored with bacon. I once saw a guy, he was drinking a whiskey, and in the whiskey glass is a stick of bacon sticking out. And I was like, why is there bacon sticking out of your whiskey? He's like, it's whiskey bacon. Bacon whiskey. Like, we're running out of places to put meat. People are like, can we just find new, like, they're just like, well, let's just, we'll sprinkle it in people's clothing when they buy the clothes. Just like, you buy this shirt, pocket full of bacon. Like, we're running out of places. Anyway, if we just were to decrease the amount of meat we eat by a percentage, because the amount of water that goes in to animal agriculture is fucking insane. Insane. A hamburger is the equivalent of you showering for a month. The amount of all the showering you do for a month, all that water, you would add it up. That's one hamburger. And I actually think it's 2 months, but I'm being conservative because I didn't want to get it wrong and say 2 months, and it's 1 month. But it's that, and yet every time you see these, maybe people have heard me say this before, every time you see these stupid signs all over like LA and stuff, like we're in a drought, shower with a friend, or we're in a drought, don't, if it's yellow, let it mellow, don't flush the toilet as much. You always see those billboards. Never once those billboards say, stop eating fucking hamburgers. Put the hamburger down, motherfucker. Never once. Why couldn't we have one billboard that says, hey, one hamburger is equivalent to fucking showering for a month? But no, there's no talk of that because big ag, big meat fucking owns our government. They own the advertising. They own the media. All your media is funded by big meat. Please, someone find me the last time CNN or Fox News or these shitheads did a report on the amount of waste and destruction coming from the animal agriculture industry. Seriously. And by the way, there's a great documentary called Eating Our Way to Extinction that I'm in. I do a brief little 2-minute thing in it. But I basically have no association with it. It's done by amazing filmmakers. It's called Eating Our Way to Extinction. And it's narrated by Kate Winslet. And I'll put, let's see, Eating Our Way to Extinction. I'm putting the name in the comment. And me and Kate go way back. We're like besties. I mean, we had a brief fling with like, it was like 2 love children that were produced. It was not a big thing. Never met her, and have no association with her. And if you said my name to her when you run into her on a sidewalk, she'll go, who the fuck are you talking about? And back away from me. So just to be clear. But anyway, she narrates the thing, and I have a brief 2 minutes in it. But the amount of water going to animal agriculture, the amount of water that is just lost due to lack of engineering, the amount of water that is wasted on just fucking sprinkling lawns. Lawns are the stupidest fucking thing human beings have ever come up with. Meaningless green lawns. We need to rewild. Just let your lawn go. Just let it go, man. Let it do its own thing. Let it live its life. Seriously. And people get upset if the lawn turns brown. They'll report you to the homeowner association if the lawn turns brown. And actually, part of what this article gets into, this New Yorker article, is that people are like getting furious with their neighbors and shit over like where they're getting their water from. So you have neighbors turning against neighbors, and it just turns it's just an opportunity for Kens and Karens out there. I don't know. Is that the male term, Ken? I don't know. Karens and Ralphs out there to just bicker and yell at people for I think their yard looks a little too green. I think they're stealing the water. And all that shit, all that garbage fighting over, because these people don't fight over real shit, right? They're not going out and protesting to save the environment. They're not protesting oil pipelines. They're not chaining themselves to banks and shit. They're not, or even talking about it. I'm not saying everybody's got to be chained to a bank every day, but they're not even talking about that shit, right? Instead, they're talking about how Mrs. McGuffey down the street, I think she uses more than her allotment of water. She has more than her allotment of pink flamingos on the yard. The home association says you get 2 pink flamingos, and that is it. And she has a third in her backyard that she doesn't tell people about, but I've seen it. I've seen it. When I was back there taking a dump in her yard one time. But yeah, you just have people. I mean, but apparently it's getting ridiculous where these people are fighting over water. And his bird bath seems a little higher than normal. I'm pretty sure his bird bath. People water in their bird bath in the middle of the night. They're waking up at 3 a.m. just fucking squirting a little extra water into the bird bath, watering the azaleas at 2 a.m. and then arguing with neighbors. What? No, we don't have a slip and slide. No, the kids were just falling down the backyard over and over at a surprising speed. There was no water. We weren't using water. I don't know what you're talking about. They just slipped a lot and we're falling. It just, what? No, we didn't. There was no water involved. We used ball bearings. It was slip and slide. It was ball bearing based slip and slide. You just dump about 70,000 ball bearings down the slip and slide while the kid goes down, and you don't even need water anymore. You don't even need water. You have ball bearings. But so anyway, so to get back to the solutions, there's water recycling. I posed this question to my members only chat the other day. I do those every Friday at noon Eastern, and they're at leecamp.net, which is my locals page, leecamp.net. So I hope you'll become a member over there. But I posed the question to them, and we'll see if anyone here knows the answer. No one there knew the answer. What is the one country that gets over 75% of their water from recycled water? Meaning the water in their system just goes back into use, and it's done well. Meaning people are not getting sick. People are not vomiting on the streets. They're not finding chunks of turd floating in their lemonade. It is like actually done really well, and they have really clean water, and they recycle 75% of their water, or over 75%. And I will tell you the answer in a minute while people guess. But there's ways to do it, and we don't even talk about it, right? It's not even discussed. And here's the thing, like, even if you wanted to be like, oh, gross, that's water that was in someone's bathtub and now it's back in our system. Oh, gross. Even if you wanted to do that, you could recycle a certain percentage of your water and it be the water that ends up in people's mouths. Like, it could be recycled into showers, recycled into toilets, recycled into hoses for yards, recycled to feed the cows for the insane amount of meat we eat. It could be used for so many things. Watering all the plants, all the agriculture could be recycled water. Instead, we just piss it all into the wind, and then we go, we're running out of water. I don't know where all the water went. I don't know where it goes, but it's gone away. The water got away, and now we're having lack of watering. I still have not seen anyone guess it. Now, some of the countries you're guessing, I assume they have some water recycling, but it's not as high as this country that I'm about to tell you. So yeah, the one solution that I have not mentioned yet is fucking get rid of fracking. End fracking. Hydraulic fracturing uses billions of gallons of water, some insane amount that I can't remember the numbers, but some insane amount of water is used fracking, and it's pumped into the fucking center of the earth, down where the demons live and the serpents with two heads. It's pumped in there, mixed with chemicals that are carcinogenic. Secret, it's called the Halliburton loophole. They don't even have to say what's in the chemicals that they add to the water that they then pump into the center of the earth. So all this water is just fucking contaminated and wasted and pumped into the earth so that we can steal just a little bit more of the fucking gas and oil and whatever the fuck out of the center of the earth. So yeah, end fracking would be a huge way to save water. Anyway, I'll tell you the answer. The answer, which I have not seen anyone get yet, is Namibia. Apparently, Namibia uses recycles something like 75% of their water, and yeah, that's what, because they have no other choice. Like it's the only way to have a functioning society for them, and the point is, this can be done, and it can be done well. I guarantee the people in Namibia are not all dying in the streets, or else they probably wouldn't keep recycling the water, right? So anyway, my point from this article, other than the fact that the water wars are coming, and they're coming right now, and they're coming to the suburbs, and they're coming to America, it's not as funny as that Eddie Murphy movie. The water wars are coming to America, and it's not hilarious. And my point is just like, these solutions are there, and it's not mentioned in the article. It's not mentioned in any of these articles about water scarcity. Never mentioned that the solutions are fucking here, and we don't use them because our politicians are garbage, and our media's garbage, and they're owned by big ag and big meat. And honestly, like sitting here and talking, the fact that they'll talk about this shit and not talk about the solutions that are in front of them. It's like when your grandpa is going senile and he's sitting there going, "Where's the remote? Who hid the remote? Has anyone seen the remote?" And you're like, Grandpa, you're holding it. And then he looks down and he goes, thanks. It's like that right now. And yet, every time you hear water scarcity mentioned, you will not hear the fact that we're holding the fucking remote. We're sitting there with it in our lap going, I don't know what to do. All is lost. We got to steal water from the indigenous. Dude, just re-engineer our society so that it makes sense rather than the capitalist system, which is steal the shit and profit off it. It's just insane. It's insanity. It's you know what I'm saying when my grandpa, my grandpa, your grandpa gets to that point. I had my grandpa. My favorite story about my he's gone now, but we put him out to pasture. We had to push him off a cliff. You know how it is when it gets that time. But one of my favorite stories about him was we were like, it was like Christmas dinner or something. We were like at his house. And a bunch of people there, a bunch of family there. And he and my grandmother, who had long been divorced, they were divorced way before I was even born. They became friends again. I think they didn't speak for like 10 years, but then they became friends again later in life. So he was now living with his third wife, and my grandmother's his first wife. And so they're chatting, and his third wife, his current wife at the time, is in the kitchen. And you hear him sitting next to my grandmother, and you hear him, my grandpa, Alan, going, Deborah, which was, the name of his third wife. And finally she goes, what? And he goes, what was the name of my second wife? And she was just like, Alice, and just went back to whatever she was doing. I love it's just third wife. What was the name of my second wife who I spent 20 years with? Oh God. I'm sure most of you have had a grandparent get to, or a great grandparent get to that point. One of them. Most of you probably seen it. It gets, you gotta laugh with it, right? You gotta have some fun with it and laugh. I'd say laugh with them, but they're probably not laughing. But anyway, you gotta just try and, you know, not get too upset. If any of you are in that right now, then I feel for you. I know it's tough, but just remember that, you know, remember the good times and enjoy the weird times. that's my motto for life. Remember the good times and enjoy the weird times. Anyway, that was story number one. We're going to get to story number two here, which is all of our politicians and media now admitting this is a proxy war, which I've covered before, but now I have a great video to show you. So I want to show you that. But for those of you who don't know, I do these live streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at noon Eastern. The Friday one is for members only at leecamp.net, which is my locals page. But not only do you get that exclusive content, you get all kinds of exclusive content if you sign up at leecamp.net. The lowest level is $1.25 a week. So we're not talking huge amounts of cash here, but it'd be great if you can support this by becoming a member at leecamp.net. But yes, if you can't, even if you can't do that, I hope you'll join me Monday, Wednesday, Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Obviously, these videos replay, so you can go watch them afterwards at rumble.com/LeeCamp, even if you miss it. But let's get to the second story here, which is our politicians, and I've covered some of this, but our politicians are increasingly admitting that this is a proxy war. This is a war between the U.S. and Russia, and the U.S. is willing to fight this while Ukrainians die. Ukrainians have their lives destroyed, and this in no way defends Russia's actions, okay? I don't know the truth on the ground any more than most of you probably do, because we know our media is lying about it. In fact, our government has admitted that they're lying about a lot of it, which was a change in what they normally do. They've admitted that they're going on false or faulty intel. And so our government's admitted they're lying to you. Our media is just reporting what our government says, so they're lying to you. So I don't know the truth on the ground. But in any war, I'm assuming a lot of innocent people get killed and a lot of the society gets destroyed. And it's fucking horrific. And so I'm not defending Russia's action. I've said I'm against the invasion from the beginning. But you also have to understand that this could end today if it weren't for the U.S. The U.S. is keeping it going, wants to keep it going as long as possible. And that is, it's a fucking war crime. And it is killing all of these innocent civilians. So I'm against all the oligarchs because I want to be part of a class war. I want to fight against the oligarchs. I don't care if they're the oligarchs in some other country, but I'm an American in America covering American news. So that's why I focus on that. But anyway, this is a video put together by Frederick Danielson. He goes by, he's a member of leecamp.net over there. So you could go over there and talk to him, chat with him. He goes by Freda77 over there, or Freda, I think it's Freda, Freda 77 on at my locals page. So if you want to hit him up and chat with him about this. But anyway, he said I could use this video and it's really well edited. I'll try and, if there's anything I can speed, any way I can speed it up, I'll try. We'll play it a little bit faster than normal, maybe. But it's a compilation of our top politicians and media talking heads admitting in one way or another that this is a proxy war, that this is not Russia versus Ukraine. This is U.S. versus Russia while Ukrainians die. Show me that like this fucking montage of videos put together by your mainstream media. No, they won't tell you this. All right, here we go.
The United States aids Ukraine and her people so that we can fight Russia over there and we don't have to fight Russia here.
So that was Adam Schiff, one of the main Democrats in the Senate, I think, who is all about Russiagate, all about the new McCarthyism, and just admitted in that part of the video that we're fighting Russia there, so we don't fight them here, meaning this is a proxy war, meaning this is not Russia versus Ukraine. This is U.S. versus Russia as Ukrainians die. All right, let's keep going.
Look, I'm going to support it because it's the right thing to do for Ukraine. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of politics involved, and there will be domestic debates here at home about other policies and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we've got to realize we're at war. And we're not just at war to support the Ukrainians. We're fundamentally at war, although it's somewhat through a proxy, with Russia, and it's important that we win.
We're at war with a proxy, and it's important that we win. But what's we winning look like? Well, it looks like what? Just letting a bunch of Ukrainians, thousands of Ukrainians die on our behalf? That's what it looks like? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? These fucking clowns. I mean, they're admitting that it'd be like admitting that we're going to nuke Ukraine because then we'll take away stuff for Russia. We'll take away the resources from Russia. Like, oh, go ahead, just nuke Ukraine so that Russia doesn't get it. I mean, in many ways, it's the equivalent. It's, again, fucking disgusting. These people are war criminals. They're horrific. And yet, who's called, like, liars? Who at the beginning were called fucking, propagandists? It's people like me who said this was a proxy war from the beginning.
When I hear the majority leader of the other party say, quote, a time of war, when I sat with the majority leader in a rules committee meeting upstairs and he said, we're at war, and I'm wondering when we voted to go to war. If we're going to have a proxy war and we're going to give $40 billion to Ukraine because we want to look all fancy with our blue and yellow ribbons and feel good about ourselves, maybe we should actually have a debate in this chamber, a debate in this body, because the American people expect us to do that. When the border of this country is wide open and cartels have control of it and fentanyl is pouring in and we have $30.5 trillion of debt and gas prices are spiking and $1,100 to fill a tank of diesel, and we go, oh, blank check, $40 billion. And by the way, I'm looking at my colleagues on this side of the aisle on that same point.
So that's one of these Republicans who is completely right on Ukraine, right? Yeah, same with like Tucker Carlson or something. But we're now in a world where these Republicans, who are repugnant, awful human beings, who act like an immigrant is gonna, just destroy your life, and an immigrant coming from a country that we've destroyed, that we created a coup and put in a dictator and fucking destroyed their lives, that them coming here is the end of the world. These type of Republicans they're garbage on so many issues. And then they're correct on Ukraine, correct on Russiagate being a joke. We are in such a fucking upside down era where the Democrats have gone so far to the right that they're unrecognizable. And the Republicans now, not all of them, but some of the Republicans now are the ones on the left militarily. Militarily, it's some of these Republicans, and fucking Tucker Carlson's the only one on mainstream media saying, yeah, we shouldn't be in Ukraine. Yeah, it's a proxy war. Yeah, you're fucking out of your mind to be doing this. Yeah, we're sending $40 billion to Ukrainians while people die from healthcare debt here in the U.S. But at the same time, those same people, that Republican, Tucker Carlson, any of these people, they're making up lies about, lies about police are just doing the best they can, and they have to kill 1,000 people a year, or police have been defunded when they haven't at all, or immigrants, it's open borders. The next person I'm about to show, Tulsi Gabbard, loves to talk. By the way, she's become practically full right wing. Loves to talk about how we just have open borders. Our borders are just open, when in fact our borders are, first of all, as sealed as they've ever been. There's more security on our borders than there's ever been. Furthermore, you've got people fucking in cages, kids in cages, kids getting deported, families getting torn apart, Biden deporting more people than Trump did, ICE destroying people's lives, and ICE has not been around forever. So the idea that our borders are open is fucking laughable. And you have Tulsi Gabbard running on TV every night saying Biden's allowed open borders, and it's just right-wing talking points. It's garbage. And Tulsi Gabbard's gone full right-wing, but she's now one of these Republicans that is correct on Ukraine, correct on Russiagate being a fraud. She's correct on these things, while the Democrats are fucking garbage on them. And how do you end up in a world where the so-called liberal party is pro-military and the so-called right-wing party is saying we're spending too much on military? Well, you end up in that world when these parties don't actually mean anything. They're meaningless. So throwing a label on it, the Democrats are good, the Republicans are throwing a label on it, does nothing. It does nothing but help keep Americans in line. It does nothing but get certain Americans who are falling for this shit to go, I have to vote Republican because Democrats are going to take away my right to shoot a grenade launcher at my neighbor. And then Republicans are saying, I have to vote, or Democrats are saying, I have to vote Democrat because Republicans are going to take away my right to fucking get gay married in the middle of a gay parade or whatever the fuck. Like, it's all bullshit, and these parties don't mean anything, and they agree on 90% of the structural issues of this country, but we're told that they completely define reality, that our entire reality, our entire possible thoughts that could come in a head, in a human head, all are encapsulated in these two parties. It is so fucking ridiculous garbage that is meant to control people. And it's amazing to watch. It's you know, at times it's fun. If you don't think much about it, at times it's enjoyable. Let's keep going.
The reality is there's no imminent threat to the safety, security, and freedom of the United States coming to us from Russia. In fact, there's no imminent threat or even long-term threat of Russia invading Finland or Sweden. Russia can barely hold on to a very small sliver of Ukraine right now. So again, I ask these leaders, what is the rush? What we do know is that the Biden administration has failed to clearly define any objective in this proxy war in Ukraine. They've failed to define what winning looks like. So clearly there is no end in sight without that being defined. We can look at Afghanistan and Iraq as very recent examples of what happens when you don't have that clearly defined mission. And so the American people were struggling with high inflation, basic necessities that people need to live, costs increasing. And yet with this $40 billion of funding and what will come next and next and next, the American people deserve to know what this will cost us financially, what it will cost our economy, and what it will cost our national security with the increased potential of a nuclear conflict if this is allowed to continue.
So as you saw there, she's saying it's a proxy war, which is kind of the point of this video. These are all American politicians and media heads saying this is a proxy war so that you know it's fucking true. It's not like it's just me anymore. It's not like it's just some independent journalist saying it anymore. But of course, then Tulsi Gabbard's got some classic right-wing garbage in there. What was it I was going to point out? Well, one thing is she's saying $40 billion going to Ukraine. And, you know, Americans have the right to know where that money's going. It should be used here at home. But what do right-wingers want to use it for? They want to use it to spend on police, you know, fucking fascist police. They want to spend it on giving ICE more guns. You know, they want to spend it on horrible shit when it should be spent on getting people out of medical debt. It should be spent on getting everybody free education. It should be spent on fixing the fucking jungle gym at the public library. I don't know why I combine those two. I don't know that public libraries have jungle gyms, but you know, it should be spent on social things to help us and our community. And Tucker Carlson would never say that, right? Because he doesn't want things spent on social community. He wants it to go to more authority, to more bootlicking, to more police here at home in the United States. He doesn't want it to go to help people with their health care, etc. Also, you heard something that Tulsi Gabbard there said. She's a former veteran, right? And she proudly continues to serve to this day. She went over to, I think, Africa recently. She is anti-war, which is good, but only for a specific reason. She's anti-war because she doesn't want her brothers and sisters in the military to die in our wars. And she doesn't want, mission creep, etc. She is fine with, or has said she's fine with, endless drone bombing that are obliterating fucking wedding parties in Afghanistan or shit. Like, she doesn't have a problem with that. She has a problem with veterans, with U.S. military being sent overseas and getting hurt. I think it's the same with Tucker Carlson. They're anti-war, which it's good to get some of these talking points from these people. It's good to hear some of the truth from these people, but you have to remember why they're anti-war. They're anti-war for a very specific reason. They're fine with war that doesn't harm U.S. military personnel, so they seem to be fine with and doesn't waste money. So they are fine with just fucking obliterating other countries. Like, I don't think Tulsi Gabbard speaks out against us cooing other countries when it doesn't involve our military. But anyway, so she's saying some important things, but you have to remember where she stands at the end, which is not fully anti-war. It's anti-war in a certain way.
We are engaged in a conflict here. It's a proxy war with
Leon Panetta, by the way, is former head of the CIA, former director of the CIA.
Russia, whether we say so or not. That effectively is.
And did you catch that? I'm sorry I interrupted it to tell you his position, but the former head of the CIA just said this is a proxy war, full on, straight out, just admitted it.
We are engaged in a conflict here. It's a proxy war with Russia, whether we say so or not. That effectively is what's going on. And for that reason, we've got to make sure we're providing as much weaponry as possible to give the Ukrainians the ability to continue what is a very courageous fight.
Yeah. So that guy is one of the biggest pieces of shits in the world. He is fucking horrific. And he is saying right there that this is a proxy war, but it's just and it's good and we should keep doing it. We should keep killing Ukrainians while we wear little Ukrainian flags on our fucking lapels. I have yellow, blue on my lapel. I'll wear a little flag of the people I want to kill to fight our proxy war. A little flag. And every fucking website you go to goddamn like Amazon or any of these, you see on you go to a website, fucking streaming website I was on. They have a little thing off to the side says, donate money for Ukraine. Help us in Ukraine. Help the people of Ukraine be obliterated by our proxy war. We have to send them more weapons so they can die in our proxy war. Help them out. I mean, the idea of wearing a flag pin of the people you want to help kill in a proxy war is just amazing to me. I mean, that is a level of fucking cognitive dissonance and I don't know, confusion that is tough to even comprehend. I'm gonna donate money to help continue the war so that more people die in Ukraine. I'm gonna wear a flag pin so that I can support the continued war in Ukraine. You got to remember the U.S., as I've covered it many times, the U.S. and Britain and NATO have gone to Ukraine, have sent representatives to stop Ukraine from going to the peace table, to stop Ukrainian leaders like Zelensky from actually sitting down and ending this thing. So it's very clear what they want. They want this to keep going. Oh, it's fucking sad.
Chuck Todd is NBC's political director and moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. It's good to see you. So Speaker Pelosi, the highest ranking politician from the United States now to visit Ukraine. We had the secretaries of state and defense last week, Angelina Jolie, even in the country. Right. What is this new package of $33 billion proposed by the president go along with all these visits and the rhetoric, by the way, from the Secretary of Defense that the United States wants to weaken the Russian military? What does all that show you?
Well, when he said that, I could argue now we have put our money where Secretary Austin's mouth went. Because put all this together, Willie, we are now close to $50 billion in total support for this war in Ukraine. That is the equivalent amount. We spent about $50 billion in each of the last 4 years of the war in Afghanistan. So think about this. We're spending $50 billion on a war we haven't fired a shot in yet.
He said that like he's upset we haven't fired a shot. Why don't we fire more shots? And why don't we get involved in a hot war with Russia? There's a good job. There's a good idea. If you want, I mean, if you have enough goddamn Twinkies and Red Bulls stored in your bunker for the nuclear Armageddon.
I think it shows you that and notice the United States isn't pushing back on the rhetoric. The Russians are going, hey, the U.S. is fighting a proxy war against us. I think the answer is yes, we are. And the Speaker of the House is there to send the word that we're joined at the hip with Ukraine. And
this is one of the biggest media sources in the United States, a garbage outlet, a garbage human being. Tuck Chod, whatever the fuck. I like to call him Tuck Chod. This piece of shit, he is just like a mouthpiece for the U.S. government. He will never question them, never say anything's wrong, unless it's going after Donald Trump, of course. But we'll never ask tough questions of people that should be grilled. And here he is saying it's a proxy war. He said, indeed it is.
And the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense. I think this is another step in our commitment that we're in for the long haul. And, you know, we still have a line here that the administration hasn't crossed yet, which is saying that Ukraine must win this war, right? They certainly believe that Russia.
I don't know that they haven't crossed that line. Biden ad-libbed at the end of his speech that Putin couldn't stay in power. So that's admitting that the goal of our proxy war in Ukraine is actually Russian regime change, which may sound, if you're, you know, one of these full-on anti-Russia people who just hates every Russian or every Russian idea or every Russian thing and every mathematical formula that came out of Russia, you hate every NASA advance that came out of Russia, you hate every piece of art that came out of Russia. Anyway, if you're one of those people, then this may sound good, regime change in Russia, but by admitting that, you're admitting it's a proxy war. You're admitting you don't actually give a fuck about Ukraine. You're actually just using them and letting them die in your effort to crumble Russia, which, again, as the Republican at the beginning of this video said, shouldn't that be voted on? Shouldn't that be something the American people know? Aren't we supposed to decide when we're at war? Meaning our representatives decide? None of that has happened. I mean, they aren't really our representatives. They've been bought off and they're owned by corporate America, and we have no say in it at all. But still, they're supposed to make a vote. They're supposed to vote for war. Instead, here we are in a war that no one voted for, not even in Congress, and they're now all admitting it's a proxy war.
It needs to be strategically defeated. That has been the phrase that you've heard used. But it feels like to me now we've gotten so much closer. We're so much joined at the hip now that there really is, I would use the word strategic anymore. We seem to be now decided that, look, our policy is Ukraine has to win, and we're going to do whatever it takes to do it.
So there it is. Great video put together by Freda77 on leecamp.net, my locals page. You can link up with him there, and if you'd like. But anyway, that video, that's just a sampling, right? That doesn't count all of the times it's been said non-televised, all the times it's been written in various publications. It's clear now. This is a proxy war, and it's putting us on nuclear Armageddon footing, and it is just primed for a nuclear false flag. And those of us who said it from day one that it was a proxy war, we were mocked, censored. I lost my TV show, YouTube channel, 250,000 subscribers, banned, over 1,000 videos banned globally. Moment of Clarity, my podcast, deleted from Spotify. All that's happened basically because I said this is a proxy war and I'm anti-war and I also said I'm opposed to the Russian invasion. But and here's the end result of them admitting everything we said. So this is just yet another fucking major story where some of us in the independent media said it from day one and have been proven right. We said fucking Russiagate was a joke from day one, proven right. We said Ukraine's a proxy war from day one, proven right. Many of us have been saying climate change is catastrophic for years. I've been doing bits and comedy and shit about it for 15 years saying we were ignoring it. And here we are. Droughts, water wars, fucking heat waves where a third of America last month was told not to leave their houses. I mean, saying it for fucking decades. And we're proven right. Trans-Pacific Partnership is a garbage trade deal. And I said that for years. Proven right. All this shit we're proven right when it finally comes out. And yet, for that, censored, most censored comedian in America. All right, this feed is going to continue. This live stream is going to continue just at rumble.com/Lee Camp. It's free to watch over there. So please go to rumble.com/Lee Camp. And even if you're not going to do that, I hope you'll become a member at leecamp.net. But yeah, I got another story for you. So don't go away. If you're watching right now at rumble.com/Lee Camp, then nothing.